And then now I'm at the point where 17 years old, we're making about 30 to 40K every single month. Like a few days ago, I literally just bought myself a Corvette C8 Z51 performance package. It's literally right over here. And so all of this became possible because I invested my money into time and knowledge from someone who already knew the things that I didn't know myself.
Yo, what's up everyone? Hope you're all doing well. I'm here today with my boy Danny, and in today's interview or whatever you want to call it, we're gonna cover a lot of interesting stuff. So first of all, Danny, maybe you want to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Yeah, 100%. So obviously, I'm quite young. I'm 17 years old. I probably got into business and this whole industry of making money online when I was 14, 15. I was in 8th grade, and that was kind of when COVID happened. Growing up, I was always a big addict to YouTube. Watched probably 12 to 16 hours every single day, which was not good at all. But that was the reason I got super motivated to become a YouTuber. That was kind of my thing. But then gradually I shifted towards more of the business side of things. And then, here we are making pretty decent money at 17 years old.
Yeah, that's of course an interesting fact. We're gonna double down later on that, of course, how you achieved all of the success at 17. But yeah, for the people that don't know me, well, my name is Luke. I'm 20 years old from the Netherlands. And I'm basically running a lot of business Instagram pages at the moment. I think across all my pages I have around 5 million followers, of course, which is pretty cool. And in today's interview, we're gonna dive deeper into how we both got to this point, what we think the reason is why we got to this point, and we're gonna give out some more tips. So maybe interesting for the people that are watching, Danny. Maybe we can tell a bit more about how we got to know each other, of course. Maybe you can tell a bit more about that, how you basically, of course, got in contact with me and all that stuff.
So again, it was during the COVID days where I was scrolling a bunch on Instagram. There was these motivational reels with showing supercars, Sigma edits. That was the thing. And then so I subscribed to this Instagram page called Wi-Fi Hustlers. And then in the description, it was Lou Gosling. So then I just followed him as well. I just assumed he was the owner. And then we went kind of back and forth. He actually first initially reached out to me seeing cool, how's everything on your side? How's your business going? Which is quite interesting. But at that time, I wasn't focused all in on the personal brand yet and growing and following. I was just more towards the YouTube stuff. But then gradually, it was actually not too long ago, probably 5 months ago. So early springish of this year, I DM'd Luke. I was hey, I'm ready to start the personal brand. I'm ready to build a following. Let's get this Instagram content up. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff happened, of course. Of course, when you said whenever we started, around the spring, I believe it was March, if I'm correct. Of course,
Right.
you started with 0 followers. I remember I bought an account and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
right now. But I mean, of course, we got to know each other through Instagram, of course. You saw my personal brand, and that's basically how we got everything running. And you of course saw my cash pages. So very interesting. But another question that I have for you is how did you actually get into this whole business kind of thing? Because of course you told me, you watched a lot of YouTube and you got motivated by that. But what would you say was the reason that you went all in on business and you actually wanted to make it happen for yourself?
Yeah. So basically growing up, I always knew from the start there was a potential to be able to make a full-time income off of the internet, off of the Wi-Fi, right, off our phones and laptops. Because I've seen YouTubers do it all the time. I've seen people out there flying in private jets while literally the majority of the people in our countries and cities are struggling to pay for rent. So I knew there was a way to be able to, escape what the modern society is. And so there was this one turning point. It was actually last year. I was super big addict to the gym. I trained a lot, and then I couldn't even afford the shipping fee for pre-workout. And that was just the turning point for me. I was okay, I have to dial in. Let's get this business up and running. I have to figure out how to at least pay for shipping fees. From there and then, I just did a crap ton of research on the internet. Hey, how do I make money online? How do I start building a following and then start to monetize that correctly? And then I came across a bunch of gurus out there, right? I forgot the main person, but he did a bunch of things. He did trading. He also did YouTube. He also did just overall. His name was Jacob something. But then from there, I just ventured deeper into the business industry. Then found Lou Gosling and a bunch of other gurus that kind of almost try to get you. But obviously, there's a lot of people out there who are can actually genuinely change your life. And so that's what Luke kind of did to me.
Yeah, interesting, of course. Like you would say, just because you were like that broke, there was a point where you was like, I need to make a change right now, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like you were also like still in school, of course, when you were starting out, right? Like, what did your like situation look like before when you started? Like, of course, like you said, you went to the gym, you went to school. Like, yeah, what just like look that your life looked like around a
Yeah,
year ago.
yeah, that's a great question. I was actually like a competitive athlete back then. I was a professional competitive swimmer, basically. Back then, I would say I arguably have more friends than I have at the moment, but those friends weren't actually as genuine and as close as me, and as like good that you would prefer. And there's always saying that I go by quality over quantity. I'd rather have a couple people in my circle that's actually there for me rather than like a huge mass of people who kind of just are your acquaintances, right? And so during my high school early days, I was more of an introvert as well. I wouldn't really want to speak to people. I wasn't definitely in the like the popular section. I was more in the mid to lower people. But I wasn't a complete, loner, I would say. I was getting by quite decently. Wasn't bullied or picked on too much, but there were definitely occasional times where people will call me out for being skinny, for being weird, the R word, which is not ideal. And then it really started to shift towards my later end of high school in grade 11. That was when everything transformed. And then that was like the start of my uphill rise.
Got it. I think like we're pretty similar on that side of story. Like I was also like always like more of like the quiet kid, not like really the popular one in back in high school. So yeah, like back when I like started my own business, like what really was important for me was that like no one could really see what I was doing, because when I started out, I was like pretty shy, pretty insecure, and all that stuff. So I was like I don't want any of my friends to find out. I don't want any of my classmates or like colleagues to find out what I was doing. So that's basically like how I got started. Yeah, with of course my Face's Instagram pages, and of course I started building it out, started getting more and more followers, started making more and more money, and at that point, like when you start making your first money, you get such a big confidence boost. That's like what I felt. I don't know about how that was for you, but it was also the point where I was like, hey, I'm gonna show myself. I don't care what the world says. I'm just gonna do it because I know, it can make me more and more money. And yeah, at that point, I already knew like, hey, the more money I make, the more confident I'm gonna feel. And that's basically like how I got into this whole thing. And of course, like right now, I still run those Faces pages. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But right now, I also, of course, have a face to it. So I have like a whole brand behind it, basically. But yeah, like, what was your reason why you wanted to get like started with like YouTube automation and just like building a following on the internet? Was it like a similar reason that you didn't want to show yourself? What was like your reason behind that?
Right. My biggest motivation at the start was actually to become famous. They're like all these YouTubers, they motivate me to become famous, build a following, right? And so I really wanted to become a full-time content creator. That was my original goal. And back in the early days, actually in high school, I built up a YouTube channel to over 100K subs off of just shorts. And that boosted my confidence like crazy because I thought I was the guy, because like no other 14-year-old is walking around with over 100K on YouTube, right? But then that quickly actually faded because, yeah, those numbers are cool. Having a following is cool. But if you don't use that following right to then monetize it right and then just be able to actually make an income for yourself, those numbers don't mean anything at all because they can't help you in any way or change your life. And so, yes, building a following is really cool. It helps with like showing off confidence, stuff like that. But it's important that you have to, use those tools in the correct way to then make something better out of it, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, got it. I see like a lot of people on the internet, they get a lot of views, but they like struggle in terms of like monetizing, of course. Like there's so much content out there on YouTube, but it's of course really like important like what kind of niche you go into, because like for me, like with Instagram, for example, it's super easy to make money when you're in like the business or motivation niche, but it's a bit harder to make money when you're in like the pets or meme niche, right? It's similar with like YouTube automation in the end, right? Like it's all like what kind of interest the viewers have, and if they're like ideal clients or not. Like how would you say that is important for YouTube automation? Like is the niche important as well in terms of like monetizing?
Yeah, niche is 100% one of the most important things when it comes to just anything, any business in general, right? Because the way that money works is if you can find a gap for supply and demand, and then you provide value to fill up that gap, you will make money no matter what. So to answer your question, niche itself in YouTube automation, any single niche can work, right? You can see like there's channels out there making millions off of gaming niches, off of sports niches, off of finance niches, but there comes to a point where saturation also comes to play. So to beat saturation, you either have to be the first person to jump onto things or the best person to jump onto things. And like how Luke says also, like the finance business niches generally tend to do better just because there's so much more value that can just bring out of people who are rich. And the saying goes, if you can make rich people richer, you will get rich in the process.
Yeah, like what I noticed as well is like, for me at least, like the bigger the problems you can solve, the more money you start to make. But it all just starts with building that initial following and finding the people that you can like either like sell your products to or advertise towards or do whatever basically. As long as you have quality people that follow you and watch your content, you can always make money. Like of course with Instagram it's a little bit different than with YouTube, but with Instagram, as I mentioned, you can sell your attention to other companies, you can sell digital products, you can even sell physical products. Like there's so much possible. But yeah, like how do you go about like monetizing with YouTube? Like of course you have the ads and all that stuff, but like are there any other ways to like you monetize with YouTube, or is it just purely with ads?
100%. So with YouTube, it's like any other platform with Instagram, right? The main focus everyone does is just Google AdSense. You get paid for advertisers putting their ads on your videos. But again, you can sell so much more things and monetize it externally, such as digital products, info products, masterminds even, courses, or you can also do sponsorships where brands go ahead and pay you to promote their gig. And that works. And then also affiliate marketing is a big thing. It's kind of similar to like brand deals. You're just promoting another application and in return they give you a commission or they give you a nice piece of the pie. There's really so many ways to monetize, your audience once you have a good amount of traffic coming towards you. You just got to dial in on like the best ones and then see which one works out the best for you.
Got it. Yeah, so like of course with Instagram and YouTube it like kind of works in the same way. Like with YouTube of course you get paid per views, but with Instagram you also get paid whenever you have a certain amount of followers, because people like reach out to you and it's like, hey, can I for example promote myself on your page? So like as long as you have followers or views, whatever, you get paid by the platforms by just selling your views. But besides that, of course, you can also monetize it with digital products, affiliate products. And I think that that's a good thing, especially when you just start out. Like, for example, when you don't have your own products yet, like something I always tell people to do is just like, hey, start with affiliate marketing, because to build out successful products is something that is a skill. Like you need to learn it and it takes a lot of time. But you can already start making money by just using other people's products, leverage that, and just get a piece of the pie, as you mentioned before, and that's a really good way to make money. But yeah, like there's so much possible these days, as we mentioned before, too. As long as you just put out content there, you'll be good no matter what, basically. But yeah, I wanted to get into like another topic because like we're of course all doing pretty good for ourselves. So I want to ask you then, like, what do you think is like one of the reasons that you are at the point where you are today? Like, and you're of course driving a nice car, like you're in good shape, and like what would you say the reason is for that?
I would honestly say self-belief and manifestation is the biggest thing that will drive you towards the successful factors, right? If you yourself can't believe you're gonna make 10K a month, if you yourself believe you can't drive that nice car, have a nice physique, no one else is gonna believe that for you. And it all comes down to this as a person as a whole, right? So there's so many people as I was building up my business journey who were like, hey bro, this is stupid. You're obviously not gonna make it. There's too much people out there trying to build a business. What makes you think you're different? But at the end of the day, they're not the ones that are going to build a business for you, right? They can't do it for you, and only you yourself is the thing that you can control. That's the beauty about a lot of things, is that the only thing you can truly control in this universe is your brain and how you move and how you act and how you feel. And so if you were to prioritize that, tell yourself and just engrave it in your system that you will make something work, and obviously you justify that by putting in the hard work. It's really, there's no reason for you not to fail if you just do it for long enough.
Yeah, I think like some other things which I think are really, really important when you start out, and also like I think what the reasons are for like of course my success is like you gotta take the risks. Like no matter what age you are, like you don't want to be like dying and like thinking in your head like, oh, I wish I took that risk when I was younger. So that's like what I'm really like a big believer in, that like if you want something, just do it. Like for example, start that YouTube channel, start that Instagram page. Don't give a shit about what other people think about you, because in the end we're all gonna die and no one is gonna you know, think of you like 50 years from now, like, huh, look at that guy. He tried something in his life. Like he tried
Exactly.
to become better, right? Like what I always feel like is that people who judge you are always below you, or they are afraid to do what you're doing. And that's something, like if you keep that in the back of your mind and be like, oh, they're only hating on me because I'm doing better or I'm doing something they're afraid to, that gave me that initial boost to push through. So I think that that's super, super important as well. And yeah, in terms of taking risks, you know, like as I said, just do the things and then see what happens, jump into it. So like I said, start those pages, invest that money. You always get it back anyways, basically. So
Exactly.
that's I think like so important. So yeah, I mean those are like one of the factors I believe that of course cause our success. So this is also something interesting because what do you think, Danny, are like reasons why people won't succeed and why people are like not at their goal yet? Because the thing is, everyone has goals. Like everyone wants to, of course, get a six pack, drive a Ferrari or a Lambo or whatever, but only a few will get there in the end. So like, what do you think is one of the reasons, you know, why people don't succeed?
There's so many reasons out there why so many people don't succeed, but in my opinion, the biggest reason why is because they take lack of action. Action itself, even if you're doing the wrong things in general, will actually advance you further and progress you further than not doing any action at all. Because moving backwards seems controversial, but you've just learned a way that wouldn't work, which means that the next time you do it, you will not go the wrong path. And so trial and error is super important, but if you just don't take any action at all, you have all the motivation, you did all the research, you did all the planning, you made that video on your story saying you're gonna get started with building a business, but then the next day just sit on your couch, watch YouTube or whatever, you're not gonna get anywhere. And so it's this lack of action and then obviously having that manifestation to be able to make it work.
I think like there's a lot of people confuse motivation with discipline. Like people just think like, hey, if I want something bad enough, I'll get there. Like, but like in the end, you know, like if you don't do anything for it, it's really hard. And like one thing what I like saw in like the last couple of years why people won't succeed is that people, in my opinion, sometimes have such a big ego. Like they always think that they're right, and whenever something doesn't work, they're like, oh, I tried it, I'm the best at it, so like if I can't do it, then just leave it. Like they're sort of like afraid to take advice from people or to start learning new things, and they just immediately think like, hey, if it doesn't work the first time, then yeah, it probably won't work anyways. So like what I always advise people like to do is to of course try a lot. What you said, trial and error is one of the best ways to learn, but also like try to work together with people who are at a point where you want to be already. Because like if I wanted to get to the point where I am today purely by myself, it would probably take me 20 years because there's so much stuff to learn that you don't know about. But if you just simply work with someone that's has already like built the path to where you want to be, it's super simple to actually get there. You just gotta follow it, but you don't have to find everything yourself. You don't have to fail at everything yourself, because the way to success is not something easy. Like you're gonna have difficulties no matter what. So I think that's like a super big part that you gotta put your ego to the side, learn from people who are at a point where you want to be, and just simply take all their advice and keep going.
Right, yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And like the saying I always like to give to everyone is like, if you were a D1 basketball player and you're trying to get to an all-star basketball player, trying to get to the best NBA, like would you rather go to the gym and try to shoot hoops by yourself and teach yourself basketball to work your way up to become an all-star, or would you rather learn from like the greatest of all time, as LeBron James? And this goes for basically anything in the world. If you want to become the best mathematician and get like straight A's within school, right? You would be so much better set off learning from a teacher that has already like gotten the skills of calculus 12, whatever math there might be. And it comes to like sports as well, it comes to business as well. Learn from someone who's already gotten to the results that you want, because they're going to show you the exact path and all the mistakes that you have to avoid for you to get from start to finish. And yes, like investing in yourself not only shows yourself that you have that thick enough skin to make it work, but then also gives you an urgency to make it work. And so you're not completely in your comfort zone. And the saying goes like growth never comes in comfort zones, right? Like if you want something that you've never had, you have to be willing to do things you've never done before, right?
Definitely, yeah. Like I always notice for myself, like whenever I step out of my comfort zone, I make like the biggest like impacts in my business. So like when I just started out, for me, it was investing money, because when I grew up, like I never really had a lot of money. Like I had some saved up, but like nothing too crazy, right? For like an 18-year-old guy back when I started out. So when I like basically invested my first money, I had like nothing left. I was like, shit. And that gave me like really the feeling where I was like, okay, now I actually gotta put in the work, because before that I was also slacking. Like I was playing games all the time and I was just doing it whenever I felt like. But I know like, hey, right now if I don't do anything, I don't have anything to spend next month. Um, so that was really the point where I like first started to feel that pressure and actually started going crazy in terms of like my work. Like that's the point where my motivation turned into discipline, because I had no other choice. And later down the line, I did it again, where I just invested all my money. Now, I'm not saying that everyone watching should invest all their money, but I'm just saying put yourself in uncomfortable positions so you have to develop yourself no matter what. Like you can do that in every aspect of life, of course, like with socializing, in terms of course, with business, with the gym. Just like the comfort zone is where you grow the most. And of course, like you probably hear a lot of people say it, but it is actually true. And that's like where I, of course, like as I mentioned before, notice the most growth in terms of like me as a person and the business. And one other thing I want to quickly mention is that the more I grow as a person, the more money I start to make as well. Because if I look back at myself 2 years ago, as I mentioned before, I was a shy, insecure kid. I was lazy, not disciplined at all. And over time, I became more disciplined. I became more like I got more confidence and all that kind of stuff. And because of that, also my business went up. So I also think like the more you grow as a person, the more money you're gonna make. Because if you want to make $10,000 a month, for example, if you say, hey, that's my goal, you first gotta become a person that deserves to make that kind of money. Like if you are laying on the couch all the time, watching Netflix, eating chips, all that kind of stuff, you don't deserve it, to be honest.
Exactly.
So then other people are gonna outwork you who actually do deserve it, and they're gonna get to your goal and you're not. So that's what I think is like one of the main reasons, why people succeed and why people don't succeed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And like the saying also, I do agree with you on the point where if you want to become successful, right, and you want to make, let's say, 10K a month, you can't live the current way that you're currently doing, because if you're just sitting on the couch all day, scrolling on Instagram Reels, not doing anything about it, you have to understand that to make 10K a month, you can't be doing that stuff. And to make 10K a month, you have to be making decisions that people with 10K a month are making, right? And it also comes with higher levels of leverage as well. If you're making 10K a month and you're trying to get to 100K a month, you have to be starting to think in ways that 100K people a month are thinking and doing. Take action on what they're doing, and to figure out what kind of people are making these types of money, and obviously figuring out how to do these type of actions. You have to build networks. You have to be able to find people who are already doing it, ask them for help, and ask advice from people who's already gotten there. And obviously, also the thing is, like, if you want to be able to make like stupid money, I'm talking like thousands upon thousands per day, you have to be willing to also lose out on hundreds and thousands per day. Because if you're just a money hoarder, you just hold on to all the money that you have, not willing to invest it or give it out to some little software or some little coach, you're never going to be able to have the knowledge or the opportunity to get the $1,000 days, right? So it's all about distributing the right amount of risks for the reward.
Definitely. I do agree on that, especially on the money side, because yeah, like so far in my whole journey, I invested probably like well over 6 figures into myself. And yeah, of course, that's the reason why I'm growing fast. But yeah, like I totally agree with what you said, Daniel. Like in terms of like leveling up, you gotta like think how other people think who are making X amount of money, right? And the only way how to do that is by surrounded with them. Because if you're surrounded with people who smoke weed all day, you're gonna do that yourself as well. But if you're surrounded with people who make money, you're gonna do that as well. And if you hang around with people that make hundred thousands of dollars a month, you're gonna start doing that as well at one point. Like that's the whole thing. Like you gotta just simply surround yourself with the right people. I know it's like it's like I said before, many people are saying that kind of stuff, but it's actually true. But like a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it because it's saying like, oh, he's my friend, like yeah, but he has a bad influence on you. So that's the whole thing. Like in the end, no one is gonna do it for you. No one is gonna fulfill your dreams. Like then just buy a lottery ticket and hope you're winning it. But yeah, that's also not gonna happen. So yeah, that's like really like the way how I'm thinking about it, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And like the saying always goes, you're the sum of the 5 people who you hang out with the most, right? let's say you're like the best person in the room out of your 4 or 5 friends. You're the one that has your stuff together. Guess what? You're still in the wrong circle, because you should always be inside of the room where you're on the lower end of the spectrum. Because if you're just hanging out with people making, let's say, 30K a year working minimum wage jobs, you're doing decent for yourself doing 70K a year. Sure, you may be the best in your circle, but that just keeps you within that zone and range, and it prevents you from reaching to the higher level. And this goes for anything. In sports, right? If you were to become a swimmer or a runner, and then you're just to stay at the same like speed and not train and push your comfort zone to getting to the higher speeds, and you're not working as hard in practice, you're never going to progress. This goes for business, this goes for school as well, this goes for everything.
Yeah, got it. I mean, like when I started like with my own business, like almost 2 years ago, like I had no one around me, and that was like one of the reasons why it took me a lot of time to get the ball rolling. Basically, like it took me like I think a few months to get to like my first 1,000 followers and my first money that I started making. But that was just because I was still hanging around the people that had a bad influence on me, that were like, hey, look, come party with us on the weekends, even though we had nothing to celebrate for, or hey, you know, like let's do some other weird stuff that's unproductive. But once I started like investing into myself and got into like those bigger circles with like people that were, you know, already at a point where I wanted to be, that's where like most of the stuff changed for me. And then like almost a year later, I got into circles where people started doing millions a month. And at that point, like you notice what's possible out there, and you start to analyze what they're doing, and you start to implement their habits for yourself as well. So, and that's like literally the best place to be. So how hard it might be, but like if you know that people in your surrounding have a bad influence on you, like you shouldn't spend as much time with them as you probably do right now, just to like improve yourself and get to your goals. So that's the way, yeah, I think like you should live your life.
Yeah, exactly. And also, when you mention that you obviously took months upon months to grow only a few thousand followers, that's still quite good in terms of time versus results. For me personally, it took me 3 years to figure out this whole YouTube gig. And from 2020 all the way until 2023, my highest payday on YouTube was, I believe, $13 in one day. And so 3 years of consistently trying, putting in works. I was probably editing for hours every single day as well. And I was stuck making less than $10 a day. Like some days I was making like cents. And then it all comes down to belief and knowing that the end result is that if you do this for long enough and you were to improve day by day slowly, you would get there eventually. And all these people seeing, oh, you know, $1 million a day, they get all the motivation in the world, or $1 million a month. They see what's possible. They get super motivated. The next week, they just quit because they're not getting $1 million a month, which is crazy to me. And I think that to get to like obviously the other side of the successful factors, you have to put in the years upon years, sometimes even decades of knowledge. And you can garnish decades of knowledge not within decades. You can garnish that within months or even just one year by learning from people who's already gotten there before, right? Who can teach you and show you the route. And at the end of the day, I feel like really the biggest successful factor is that knowing that it will work, putting in the hours, putting in the weeks, putting in the years, and it's inevitably going to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, like after 3 months by myself trying already, like I figured out like, hey, I need to work with someone who's done it already, because I got tired of seeing other people succeed that didn't know as much as I already did. So I was like, there's like some key to get there, because other people already have done it. Like the information is out there. It's just like whether you want to figure it out yourself and take years to get it, or just pay someone or do something in return for them to get it faster. And like the way with money is like the faster you get stuff done, the more you're gonna get paid in the end. So like I'm always a big believer of, you know, like taking action and just not like waiting stuff. Like if I can pay someone to do it for me so I can get a bigger return of investment, like you always need to do it, right? Like if someone can do something for you cheaper or effortlessly or faster, it's a no-brainer, like no matter what in life. Like if you make, for example, $100 like an hour, and basically like it takes you an hour to do grocery shopping, for example, and you can let someone else do it for $20, whatever. Like it's a bit of a weird example, but you get it. Like you do it because then you just save $80 basically, because your time is worth money, and if you can make a profit out of your time, that's basically where you really start growing. Like that's also something why, for example, for all my Instagram pages, I don't do the editing of the videos myself, because it would take me hours a day, and right now I can just outsource it to other people who have really good skill set in content creation, of course, and they can do it cheaper than my time, because my time is really valuable right now. But that's why, yeah, like I said, people can do it cheaper and they have a cheaper hourly rate as me. And that's basically how you really start growing your business and yeah, like your income as well, of course.
Exactly. And that's literally how the whole business model in terms of YouTube automation works as well, right? You're not doing the editing yourself because you can just literally get people to do that for you for obviously so much cheaper in terms of time versus money. You can make a return on that. And then once you do, like that's what I was doing actually all the way until this spring. I was making pretty decent money for myself already, probably about like 7 to 10K a month. But then I had too much free time on my hands where I was working about 20, 30 minutes every single day. And that's why I hit up Luke Gosling. And I was like, yo, I have too much free time on my hands. I'm trying to scale to, 20, 30K a month, probably even more later down in the future. Could you help me out? And so he kind of put me on this whole personal brand thing, building a following, monetizing off of your following. It's quite similar to YouTube, but because I literally invested with my money that I was making towards someone who already knew it, that resulted in me literally probably 4xing my revenue, my total income within just 3 to 4 months. And then now I'm at the point where 17 years old, we're making about 30 to 40K every single month. Like a few days ago, I literally just bought myself a Corvette C8 Z51 performance package. It's literally right over here. And so all of this became possible because I invested my money into time and knowledge from someone who already knew the things that I didn't know myself.
Yeah, that's a similar story for me. Like, what I really believe these days is that you only need one skill set, and then you gotta just put yourself out there, start a personal brand around that, or even a faceless personal brand these days. And just like I said, sell your knowledge, sell your services to people because there's such a big demand. And if you're like actually good at something, you can always make money. Like if you can solve any problem or whatever, you're gonna make money. It's just like you gotta put in the work to learn one specific skill. Like you don't have to be good at literally everything. Of course, if you are, you're gonna make even more money. But it all starts with one skill set can change your life. And whether it is running faceless Instagram pages, running YouTube automation channels, it doesn't matter. You just need one thing, learn that, become good at it, become better than the rest. Like you don't have to be the best in it. As long as you're better than the rest, you're good. And becoming better than the rest is easy because your competition is nothing. Almost everyone is addicted to their phone, scrolling all the time. Like the attention span of people is crazy. Like if you're watching this video right now, like half an hour in, like congrats, like you're different than the rest because people usually can't even focus for 2 minutes while we're literally dropping all the sauce here on how you can like actually change your life. But like people rather right now watch some random streamer do stupid stuff or whatever on their phone. And that's the whole issue with this generation. So even if you have put in 1 hour a day, you're already ahead of probably 80, 90% of people, maybe even more. So that's the whole thing. Like it all starts with small wins, building an initial skill set, making your first money, and then doubling down on basically, yeah, creating like your service, your own product around that, and scaling that. And that's how you really build a good income online these days.
100%, right. And I agree with you on like how you said the competition is literally next to nothing. I'm at the point where I still have friends, obviously, even though I'm doing quite well for myself. People have this misconception that you change a lot and you change your friends, you change your surroundings. Not really, actually. Money just amplifies who you are as a person. I'm still quite a normal person, right? But I'm literally hanging out with my normal friends. I have people, when I go to the gym, they see my success online and they're like, yo, put me on. How do I do this? And then I'm like, I will show you exactly how to make money by building a following and how to do this. Because I have friends who are super, super jacked. They can definitely make a full-time income off of just online coaching in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't always have to be financially. It could be you teach people how to play the guitar. You teach people how to get fit. You teach people how to do math. They have this talent here. They're better than the rest. And I'll literally show them exactly how to get started with this so they can actually make however much they want, right? 5, 10K a month. And they're just like, oh, but can you actually teach me? Bro, I just literally did 30 to 40K in August. Like, what makes you think I can't teach you? And so arrogance and also lack of action is literally the reason why there's zero competition. You can just start. It doesn't matter what you do. As long as you start and you're doing something to progress your way, whether that just be a little bit of research, one video at a time, that will get you further than the average person that's not doing anything at all.
Yeah, 100%. Like what people feel like is if they start, they need to have instant gratification. And they want to have the Lamborghini like within a week of them starting, but it's not possible. Like there is no way to get rich quick. There is no way. You gotta build your skill set first, and the more value you can provide, or the bigger of an like audience you build, that's the point where you can start making money. And the more valuable you become to people, whether it is through your skill sets or through the attention that you can generate online, that's the point where you start making more and more and more money. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. They just think like, hey, if I start with this or whatever, I'm gonna make money immediately. And that's the whole thing. And that's like a misperception that people have these days, because there are a lot of people out there on YouTube who say, hey, if you buy my course, you're gonna make $100,000 next month. But it's bullshit. It's not gonna happen. That's the whole thing. So that's something I think like people need to realize, that of course it takes work, but don't set the goals for yourself too high in the beginning. Start with small dubs, like getting your first 1,000 followers, making your first $100 online, and build on from there. Because once you actually start seeing those little results, it's gonna motivate you as well. Like when I made my first money online, I made $10 online. I was jumping around my room as if I made $1 million. Like it was crazy, but it meant so much for me. And at that time I knew like, hey, it actually is possible. Like I used to work 2 hours for that. Like I was getting paid €5 an hour, which is ridiculous, of course. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you gotta start small, see that it's possible, and build from there. And just get better every single day. If you just get better 1% every day, then it's gonna accumulate over time, and you're gonna become a killer.
Yeah. And instant gratification, like you said, it's almost never a thing. When people try to chase overnight success, I want to say two things actually. Overnight success is never a thing. It's just, it doesn't exist. And two, you may argue with me and say, oh, this person, X, Y, and Z got overnight success. The thing about overnight success and super fast success is that builds ego, whereas slow success, progress by progress, builds character. People who see me as an example, who don't know me super well, oh, the last few months I've been just blowing up, everything just grew exponentially. I just went from like only 7K a month, now like whatever, 40K a month. They thought all this happened overnight. No, it happened actually between 3 years of failure trying to build a following on YouTube and Instagram, which didn't work at all. And you also look at Elon Musk. Oh wow, this guy just went from like 20 billion to like over 150 something billion overnight. Not really though. He kind of took a decade trying to build out and fail in multiple business models as well. And so those few people who end up actually getting overnight success, like Charlie D'Amelio as an example, I'm not throwing any names out there, but there's people out there who are just overnight successes. They usually fall off at the end, or like get just self-destruct in some way, shape, or form, because they don't understand the progress and the character that must have been built throughout the hard work and the hardship of building a successful business in general. And so if you're to chase something that can happen quick, overnight success, really that's just destroying your future as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like if you actually are lucky sometimes, like it can happen. Like you're gonna take it for granted. Like I have a really good example. Like I think last one, you had this Hog Tua girl that blew up, right? With just saying one thing on the internet. Like she was famous for 3 days and now no one knows her anymore. That's the whole thing. She blew up
Right.
overnight and now she's a nobody again. And she's back to, I mean, I think she did quit her 9 to 5 or something because she made a lot of money online. Like that's not never gonna be as high as it was within like those days where she was famous. Because yeah, like of course she built a small following, but yeah, like she's been at an all-time high and she never's gonna get there again, basically. So that's why it's always better like to just start small and work towards it overnight success. Like how I always see it is like you're rolling up a snowball up on the hill. So like with a snowball, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger over time. And once you reach the top, you can just throw it down and it goes super fast. Because you've been building that big snowball up until the mountain, which costs a lot of effort, but once you've actually made it, it's gonna go super easy. And that's where you're gonna see like the overnight success basically. So, but yeah, Danny, like we're almost at the end of this interview, but there's like one final question that I would like to ask you. So of course, you know, like you're doing really well right now, but what would you say like to yourself when, you know, like you were like 2-3 years younger, when you were just like starting out with your whole entrepreneurial journey? Like what would be like that one thing that you would say to yourself, like, hey Danny, do this?
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, if I was trying to tell my younger self just one piece of advice, it would be to start as soon as possible. Okay, not one piece of advice. I'll give you multiple pieces of advice, but start as soon as you possibly can, whether that be, you know, let's say, oh, I can't have a PayPal account, I can't create a website, I need my parents to pay for something. Just start in some other category because that will advance you further. And then the moment you have something starting to build out and you slowly figure it out along the way and you kind of see like the path, get help from someone who's already know knows a whole roadmap for you, and get them to teach you the exact roadmap that you have to go to be able to become successful. Because you can technically, theoretically, build out a business yourself, learn your own way, go through all the hardship yourself, but obviously that'll probably take you years upon years, maybe even decades. Even like if like the best like if you actually manage to make it work out in the end, and most likely you won't make it work out in the end because you don't know exactly what to do. Like for me to, if I were to try to get from 7K a month to then 30K a month by myself with building a following on Instagram and the monetizing it right, I would have never gotten there because there were so many tactics that had new learnings from Luke Gosling, which I personally couldn't do myself. I have no clue how to do any of this stuff. He literally built out like 90% of the things for me. All I had to do is listen to what he told me to do. And so that's what you guys all have to do as well. Get someone who you can find. Obviously, do some research before you get with someone. But once you find the correct person to then mentor you and show you the way, just go all in with them. Do exactly as they tell you to do. Don't really question much. And that's how you find success.
Definitely. I agree with that as well. Like as I mentioned before, like I think the few things that it takes to succeed is taking risks and being surrounded with the right people. So of course, like if I had to say something to my younger self, I would also just say like, hey, take the risk you're thinking of in your head, because you know, like I always had those dreams and I always knew what I needed to do, but I just was like delaying it for some reason. Like I always knew I needed to do specific things, but it's like, yeah, I'll do it next week, or it's just not the perfect timing. The perfect timing doesn't exist. Like the perfect time to plant the tree was 10 years ago, but the second best timing is right now. Because, yeah, like why would you wait for tomorrow? It's, yeah, get started now. That's like my main thing I would like to give everyone, and figure it out along the way. You don't need to have everything perfect before you start out. So that's the biggest learning that I've learned. Like you will just fix it over time. And as Danny mentioned, like if you have any issues or whatever, like I said, if you actually, for example, what you said with PayPal, like I don't have a PayPal account or whatever, I can't receive money. Just like start building your stuff, and when it gets relevant, you will find a way no matter what, even if it takes sleepless nights. Like just, yeah, start working towards those first wins, and then you'll find a solution for everything no matter what. Because that's the thing in the end, like you're gonna make money because you can solve solutions, and that's the whole thing. Because yeah, as I mentioned before, you will always have problems as a business owner. It's just like, hey, do you have the discipline, or do you have the right people surrounded with you that can help you solve it? So yeah, those are the most important things I would say. But yeah, any final things, Danny, you would like to go over right now before we're gonna end it here?
Not exactly, but yeah, I do agree with all those points you kind of mentioned there. The saying goes like this. I learned this from someone while I was taking a call, and he says, procrastination is the assassination of all destinations, right? What that means is, because you're delaying on, doing your goals and achievements, you're literally delaying it because you need to think about it, or you think there's a perfect time. That slowly actually builds the distance from you achieving your goals, simply because you're missing out on the opportunity while other people are coming to capitalize on it. And so jump on things as soon as you can. The amount of value that you provide equals to the amount of money that you will make at the end of the day. And so yeah, I totally agree with literally everything that you just said.
Yeah, and like another thing I want to quickly mention is like, just be in the space. Like if you find something interested, dive deeper into it, because at that point you're going to get more and more knowledge about the whole subject. Like I said, whether it's YouTube automation, Instagram, or whatever. And if you're just in the space, you're going to see what's happening and all that kind of stuff. So you're always know what kind of trends are coming, so you can like, of course, prepare yourself more for success. But if you just stay waiting for that perfect moment when you think like, oh, this is the trend I want to hop on, you're not going to see it coming because you're not in the space. You're not involved in it, and people are not going to tell you. So just jump into the deep end and figure out the way to survive along the way. But yeah, I think we've covered a lot of interesting stuff. If you made it so far in this video, make sure to drop a comment so we know you actually watched it this far. But yeah, like if you want to learn from me or from Danny or whatever, I'll link our socials down below this video, so then you can find us and just drop us a message over there. Our DMs are always open to help you out. But yeah, thanks for your time, Danny. And then yeah, thank everyone for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, do all the usual stuff, and then we'll see you soon.
Awesome. See you guys all soon.